Today, I'm going to give you 26 marathon tips. I know 26 for 26.2 that'll make race day smoother, faster, and way less stressful. These are things that separate runners who hit their goals from runners who blow up at mile 20. And so I've used these tips with everything from 212 marathoners to first timers to 6-hour marathoners. And for those who don't know me or haven't followed along the channel yet, I'm Brant Stachel. I'm a former national team running coach for Canada, mental performance coach, and a registered psychotherapist. I spent 15 years coaching everyone from first timers to Olympic hopefuls, and I've learned what actually works on race day for marathoners versus what just sounds good in theory or is clickbait online. And this video is everything I wish I had before I ran my debut in 2:46 in my first marathon. It's the tactical, practical, evidence-based stuff that makes the difference between a breakthrough race and a disaster. Let's dive in. First tip would be the taper. Don't panic when you feel slow. If you ever feel slow during a taper, you're doing it right. And here's why panicking will ruin your race. But first, I'll share a story. I remember it's still my lifetime indoor 5K PR to this day. On the Friday before the race, it was a Sunday race, I was doing 8 by 40 seconds hard, 40 seconds easy. Simple taper workout. I remember calling my coach and saying, like, I suck, that's it, it's over. I'm done, I can't do it. 2 days later, ran my best 5K ever indoors. And so when you're starting to taper for a marathon, you're going to get those exact same feelings. You're 3 weeks out, we're cutting the volume down a little bit. 2 weeks out, bigger reduction. Final week before the race, you're dropping to 60, 70% of your normal volume most days. What nobody tells you is you're going to feel like absolute garbage. You're going to feel slow, you're going to feel out of shape, and you're going to panic and think, I need to get one more long run, and I got to do something. I'm going to push these easy runs to prove. Don't do that. This feeling is completely normal. Your body's recovering, you're absorbing all the training you've done, the fatigue is leaving your legs, and it feels weird because you've been running high volume for months. The key here is maintaining intensity while dropping volume. So your tempo runs, your marathon pace work, your strides, you keep those in there to stay sharp, but you're doing way less total mileage. Trust the taper. Every athlete I've coached who's tried to sneak in extra work during their taper week has regretted it on race day. My second tip would be get to the expo early and handle all the logistics. The expo is where races gets won or lost before you even toe the line. And so here's what I tell my athletes to do. Get to the expo as early as possible. Ideally, the first date's open. Why? The crowds are insane normally. On the first date, they're smaller, the lines are shorter, and you're not standing on your feet for hours the day before your race. While you're there, get your bib, get your timing chip, and immediately attach your bib to your race shirt with safety pins there. Don't wait until race morning. If you don't do it here, make sure you do it the night before. You do not want to be fumbling around with safety pins at 5 a.m. when you're already super stressed out on race morning. If the race doesn't provide safety pins, and some don't, I don't know why, bring your own. I've always got extras in my backpack for me and my wife just in case. Get your logistics sorted at the expo so race morning feels stress-free. My third tip, if you are going to get any type of treatment, sports massage, physio, chiro, whatever it might be, do it earlier in the week, not the day before. Getting a massage the night before your marathon is one of the worst things you can probably do. I say that as somebody who is a registered massage therapist. If you want to get that massage before your race, get it early in the week. Monday, Tuesday, maybe Wednesday at the latest. Do not get a deep tissue massage on Friday or Saturday before a Sunday marathon. If you're wondering why, it's because a good sports massage creates inflammation and muscle soreness. That's part of the healing process. You do need time to recover from these before your race. If you get a massage the day before, you're going to feel beat up and sore on race day. Your legs won't be fresh, and you've just undone some of the work you've done in this build. Early in the week, the massage helps flush out the legs, fatigue, prep your muscles. The night before, it'll sabotage your race. The Saturday night before a Sunday marathon, you're probably going to sleep like garbage. You're anxious, you're excited, you're stressed, your brain won't shut off. Completely normal. You're trying to do the biggest thing that you've done in your build and run a full marathon. What matters most here, and we see this in the literature, is that you are caught up on sleep going into the night before. So Thursday night, Friday night, get really good sleep on those 2 nights. Sleep is when the body recovers. It's when we absorb the training. If you bank good sleep early in the week, Thursday, Friday, then the Saturday night doesn't matter as much. I've had one of my best marathons, 2:46 at my debut, on like 3.5, 4 hours of sleep the night before. Because I slept well the 2 nights before. My body was recovered and I was ready for it. So if you're tossing and turning on Saturday night, like many of us do before a marathon, don't panic. You've already done the important sleep work earlier in the week and the training is there. It's okay. You'll be fine on race day. Tip number 5, the last big meal should be practiced in your training. Eating a huge pasta dinner the night before your marathon is setting you up for disaster if you haven't practiced it already. And so your last big carb loading meal should be at the same time that you took it in your last big long run and long pace workouts. So if for you that was 7 p.m., 8 p.m., and it worked perfectly well, continue that. If it was at 5 p.m., 6 p.m., whatever, continue that. If you want to make it on race day and have the same efficacy of your carb guide, practice it in the workouts before. I've got a carb load guide you can download for free. It's linked in the show notes that will give you this information in terms of how you do it. Tip number 6. Check the weather 1 to 2 days out, not weeks out. Checking the weather forecast 2 weeks before your race is the fastest way to spiral into anxiety. So I want you to do this instead. When I coach athletes and marathoners, I have people ask me to check about pacing and how we're going to attack the race 1 week, 2 weeks out. And my response is almost the exact same every time. We will talk 1 to 2 days out because we have the greatest likelihood of knowing exactly what the weather is. Forecasts change. All you're doing is creating anxiety. There's the saying, the only job where you can lie all the time and be completely wrong is the weatherman and still have your job. It's true. Once you do check 1 to 2 days out, focus on what you control. When I'm working with athletes, if we know it's going to be hot, okay, what do we actually need to do to counteract that? What's your fluid protocol? Do you have enough salt, electrolytes? If it's going to be windy, okay, what is the pacing strategy? What direction is the wind? What splits do we know we're going to be a little bit slow and be okay with? Depending on the temperature, do you have your throwaway clothes that you'll wear to the start line? For those of you who don't know, almost every major marathon donates those clothes to a local charity. So usually what I do, it's like a double win for a lot of these places, is when I go to a marathon, I go to the local Goodwill and I buy clothes from there and I take them off at the start of the race and they get donated back to an organization like that. Have your throwaway clothes. You do not want to be shivering. You do not want to be cold waiting for the start of your race. Weather is what it is. You can't change it. You can't control it, but you can prepare for it. And honestly, some of the best marathons happen in less than perfect conditions because the field slows down and you get to race smart. Don't stress about the weather. Adapt to it. Tip number 7, make a kit checklist days before, not race morning. If you're packing your race bag on race morning and the marathon, you've already made a critical mistake. Make a checklist of everything you need for race day and even the things you think you might need but may not use, and pack your bag 2 to 3 days before the race. I'm talking everything here. You've got your race bib that we already picked up at the expo, timing chip, shoes, shorts, watch, gels, hydration, throwaway clothes, post-race clothes, drop bag items, whatever it might be. Don't wait until race morning pack. I guarantee you will forget something, and that panic and anxiety is not going to set you up well for success. Tip number 8, nothing new on race day. Test everything in training. I know you've heard this, but that's the golden rule of marathon racing that so many runners violate, and it destroys their race every time. Again, nothing new on race day. Nothing. Not your shoes, not your socks, not your breakfast, not your gels, not your hydration strategy, not your shorts, not your shirt. I want runners testing everything, especially on your long runs. Long runs aren't just about building fitness. That's the main physiological perspective, but they're also dress rehearsals for race day. Practice carrying your gels, practice your fueling time, practice your breakfast, practice your chafing strategy. I've seen runners show up on race day and brand new shoes because they wanted to save their race shoes. And then they got blisters at mile 10 and their race is over. Or they try a new gel flavor at mile 15 and their stomach revolts. Race day, not the day to experiment. Race day is the day to execute what you've already practiced repeatedly. Tip number 9, if you have any grooming needs, take care of them multiple days before. If you're like me, you have toenails that bleed and fall off and are just generally look disgusting. I don't think any runner will ever be a foot model, but trim your nails a couple days before, not the day before. You don't want those sharp edges, cutting into your toes, creating bleeding, creating more discomfort. And so if your toenails are too long, you're going to jam them, they're going to blacken up, you're going to feel them towards the end of the race. It's going to change your stride, which is going to change your cadence, which is going to load muscles differently, get cramps and injury sites. It might sound minor. I know this is a minor tip, but I've seen runners finish marathons with black toenails and blood in their shoes, and their stride changed, they got cramped, and they didn't end up hitting their goals. It's a 30-second fix. Just do it. Tip number 10, do a test run to the start line if possible. Getting lost on the way to the start line is how marathons fall apart before they even begin. If at all possible, your day before shakeout run, do a test run of your travel to the start line from your hotel to your start line. Or if you know what your transit's going to be, try taking your transit as well. Know exactly where you're going, know how long it takes, know where you'll park or where your train will drop you or your partner or whoever's there is helping you. I like to tell athletes, arrive at the start line 1 to 2 hours early. Not 30 minutes early, not 3 hours early, 1 to 2 hours. This is where the throwaway clothes come in. You want to stay warm. This gives you the time to get some last minute carbs in, do a light warm up, hit the bathroom, get in your corral, low stress. We're not going nutty on this one. If you're rushing and you're stressed at the start line, your race is already compromised. Your cortisol is spiking, you're burning glycogen faster, you're not in the right mental state. Plan ahead, arrive early, stay calm. This might be the most embarrassing one. Number 11, bring your own toilet paper to the start line. You never know. That's all I'm going to say on that tip. Tip 12, practice your race morning breakfast in training. Your race morning breakfast could tank your entire marathon. Again, I've got a carb loading guide you can download to see what you should have, but you should be practicing this every single long run in your build. Whatever you're eating for breakfast on race morning, it should be the same one you've done on your long runs and your long runs with pace. Don't assume you can eat dry bagels on race day if you've never eaten dry bagels before. And most importantly, think ahead. What's going to be available to you race morning? If you have something you like, can you travel with it? Can you bring it with you? Can you do it in a hotel? I can't tell you how many times my wife and I have made instant oatmeal out of the coffee maker in a hotel and used the cap of it as a spoon because we've forgotten spoons. Luckily, we've become pretty good at this. I would encourage you to bring a spoon or whatever it is you need to be prepared for your entire breakfast. Tip number 13, check the headphone rules. This is I see this all the time in searches and questions that are asked all the time. It's like, can I wear headphones for a race? More and more races are starting to ban them or starting to more strictly enforce headphone rules, especially for competitive runners. If you're planning to race with headphones and it's against the rules, you could be disqualified. Know that you're taking that risk on, and it is is starting to happen more often. Tip number 14, understand your bag drop logistics. Not knowing the bag drop rules cost one of my athletes warm clothes and a phone charger after their last marathon. So please don't make this mistake. Double check if the race offers a bag drop. What size of bag is allowed? Does it have to be clear? Is there an extra fee? More and more races are charging separately for bag drops now, but we're not offering them at all. If you're dropping a bag, pack the essentials. Flip-flops, warm clothes, snacks, phone charger, and have a backup plan for meeting friends and family after the race. Call networks often get overloaded in the big marathons, especially London and New York. This is why most races have a family meeting area, and I would encourage you and your loved ones or your family or friends, whoever's coming out, to pick one. Generally, most of the marathons, the major marathons I've been to, do it by letter. There's columns with letters on them. And so we just pick one that's like, I'm going to remember when I'm carb depleted and destroyed at the end of the race, or my wife will, or an athlete will, and that's where we meet. Tip number 5, this is another quick one, your anti-chafing strategy. Please practice it on long runs. Chafing has ended more marathons than cramping probably, and you do not want to be the person whose marathon race photos are bloody nipples or thighs. That's it. That's the tip. Tip number 16, we've heard this one before, but have an A, B, and C goal. And so if you only have one race day goal, you're setting yourself up for a lot of disappointment. And so here's what I try to encourage athletes to do instead. Go into race day with 3 goals. A goal, your stretch goal, everything goes perfectly, perfect weather, perfect day, you're flying, this is your fastest time. B goal, your realistic goal. What was it you hit in training that looks right? Conditions are decent, you execute well, you hit this. Your C goal, how do you finish strong and healthy? What does that look like? All of these are going to be dependent upon the conditions and how your training went. These should all be guided by how your training is going. We don't just put goals out there because we want to run X time. It's what is our training showing us that we can run. This type of mental framework, when we apply it with the training knowledge and the ABC goal, protects you from like an all or nothing mindset where you just get after it and hope for the best. Okay, tip number 17, these are starting to get into a little bit more of the in-race strategies. I cannot repeat this one enough. Do not go out too fast and stick to your pace. The first 5K of your marathon will feel easy. It should feel easy. And that's exactly where most runners destroy the race. So this is the number one mistake I see in marathons, going out too fast. And so I can tell you, as a coach who's tracking athletes at different marathons and watching things go, if I see that first 5K split is too fast, I might go, okay, maybe the split's fast. So I'm going to look at a bunch of different elites and other athletes and stuff. If it's on, I know that that's going to be a really bad day for that athlete, and it hurts. And so the first 5K is going to feel ridiculously easy. I get it. You're fresh. You're excited. The crowds, the adrenaline is pumping, everything. And it's so tempting to go out and bank time. Please don't. I don't care that it feels effortless then. Just don't. Stick to your goal place. Even be a little bit behind. You might feel amazing, but you can pick it up later if you feel amazing. You cannot go out too fast and bank time. You will pay for it, and it will be like compound interest, and it will hit you hard. Tip number 18, fuel early, fuel often. Waiting until you're hungry to fuel is how you bulk. So when you actually want to take your gels, and again, I've got a carb loading guide, you could download it for free. It will help you train this during your next marathon block. But the key here is fuel early, fuel often. Most runners should be taking gels every 30 to 40 minutes, depending on the carb content of the gel. What I want you to think is less about how many minutes versus how many grams per hour. What we're starting to see is a bigger push towards 80, 100, even 120, and some elites taking it even further, depending on the race, grams of carbohydrates per hour. And so what you want to do is, when you're in training, see how many you can take. Maybe let's say it's 80, and you're taking 2 Mortons or Precisions that have about 40 grams each of them. Well, that would be 2 gels an hour. So we want one every 30 minutes. That's how you start to dictate what your fueling strategy should be. But again, you want to fuel early and fuel often, and it's something you've developed in training, not something you hope you're going to try out and nail on race day. Tip number 19 is to break the race into smaller chunks. Thinking about 26.2 miles can be overwhelming. But here's how you make it a little bit more manageable. Don't think of it as a full race. Break it down into smaller chunks. Focus on 5 miles at a time, 1 mile at a time. Maybe later in the race, after mile 20, you're trying, can I just hold on for 1 more kilometer, 1 more mile? Oftentimes when I'm racing, I'll use the lap pace on my watch so it resets every mile or kilometer. I'm not thinking about average pace. I'm thinking about, what pace am I running right now? Is this my goal pace? Is my effort here? I'm triangulating. Am I doing the right thing? Does this feel right? Tick off each mile. Move to the next one. This is what we call zooming in sports psychology. We want to zoom into the moment, and sometimes we need to zoom out. And so the marathon is a long time to be out there for any of us. And so if you're constantly thinking, I have 18 miles to go, I have 17 miles to go, I have 16 miles to go, it's mentally exhausting. It's taking up bandwidth that you're going to need later in the race to focus on. Focus on the mile you're in, execute that mile, and then move on to the next one. Tip number 20, consider running with a pacer. I know pacer groups aren't for everyone, but I have met some amazing pacers over the years. And if you use them correctly, they're going to save your race. A lot of the big marathons, they offer pace groups. Someone's everyone's going to be holding a sign 3:30, 4 hours, 4:30, 2:50, 3 hours, 3:10. All the Boston qualifiers tend to have them at the big races. If you're the type of runner who finds you obsess over your watch and you stress about pacing, a pacer can take that mental load off. You can just blend into the crowd. All you have to do is stick with them. Let them handling the pacing. You can just run, zone out, have a couple words with the people beside you. But here's the thing. Pacers aren't always perfect. And so sometimes they go out too fast. Sometimes they go out too slow. So even with your running with a pacer, check in every once in a while and see where your own effort level is and check in on the pacer. If the pacer feels too fast, back off. If they feel too slow, move ahead. It's totally okay to go in and out with that. Tip 21, do your course research, know the hills, know the windy sections, know what's going to go down. Not knowing where hills, as an example, on your marathon course is a rookie mistake, and here's what I want you to do. Before race day, study the course specifics, study the profile. What's the elevation gain? What's the loss? Where are the hills? Are there any GPS dead zones? Chicago is famous for this in the first 3-4K where your GPS is not going to measure. If you know there's a hill at mile 18, you can prepare for it mentally. You can adjust your pacing so it's not a shock. If you look at this when you first sign up for the marathon, you've got maybe 16, 20, 12 weeks left. You can start incorporating some of these things to be prepared of. Your watch is a guide, but it's not gospel. It's probably going to say 26.4 or 26.5 miles because you didn't run the tangents perfectly because it's you and 20,000 of your best friends out there. And a GPS isn't perfect. Don't freak out. Just know that it's coming. Tip number 22. You're going to hit a hard point in this race. Maybe it's mile 20, mile 22, maybe it's mile 18. I don't know. Everything's going to hurt. And this is the only thing that's going to keep you moving. It's remembering your why. Why are you running the marathon? Is it for charity, a memory of someone, to prove something to yourself, to qualify for Boston, to push your limits, whatever it is? When you get to that point that hurts, you need to remember your why. Your legs are going to be screaming. Your brain's going to be screaming. Everything's going to be telling you to stop. You need to draw on that why. That's what gets you through that last 5K, 6 miles, 10K. Tip 23. Smile, chat, engage, have fun with the crowd. Your mindset at mile 20 will determine a lot about how you finish. And it sounds crazy, I promise you, but if Eliud Kipchoge can do it, you can do it too. The answer is smile. Even if you're suffering, even if it hurts, smiling actually changes your brain chemistry. We know this from the neuroscience. It reduces your perceived effort. Chat with other runners if you're comfortable. Everyone's feeling the same thing. A little encouragement can go a long way. One thing I like to do in my races to kind of distract me is I just thank all the volunteers, the police officers, the water people and stuff. I just try to say thanks and smile. And they just give you a little bit more encouragement, a little smile back, and it just changes. Even for a moment, you can zoom out. And so I would encourage you to do that. It'll help you keep a positive mindset even when things might be feeling like they're going sideways. It'll make a massive difference in your race. 24, this is another mental performance tool. Visualize crossing the finish line. The last 10K is really the marathon. That's what we talk about. So visualize yourself crossing the line. I've done this in training runs before when things are going, okay, what's going to be like to cross the line and, have this finish time and be in this zone. And, I think back to my other races where I finished it and what it was like. I picture that. I picture the clock, the feeling of being done, seeing my wife. The last 10K is brutal. I know that. Everything in your body is going to tell you to stop. But if you've been visualizing the finish line for months on your long runs and your workouts, you can draw on that image when you need it most. It's going to help you keep going. It's going to help you get another couple minutes out of the pain cave, get another couple minutes distracted, and get close enough to the line where it's actually going to be achievable and you feel like you can do it. So keep that picture in your head. Tip number 25, the real halfway point is not mile 13. I know for the math purists out there, yes, it is, but it isn't. The halfway point of a marathon isn't where you think it is, and understanding this is going to really help save your race. The actual halfway point of a marathon, 13.1 miles, is probably not the halfway point of effort. For most people, the halfway point for effort is around mile 18 to 20. That's when things get really hard. We start to see it spike. This is where your brain's going to start to struggle. That last 10K, 6 miles, it's tough. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. If you haven't done one, you will experience this. I promise you. But what makes that marathon magical is that it's hard for everyone. Everyone has to go through this. You've trained for it. You've prepared for it. You can get through it. When you cross that finish line, I'll promise you it'll be worth it. When I ran my 246, I remember getting to 30K and being like, this is easy. The marathon's easy. No problem. I'm just going to keep picking it up. And I remember going, I'm going to run like 237, 238. This is just going to be easy. I'm going to keep picking it up. And then I still remember to this day, the feeling all of a sudden I made this corner on the Mississauga course and it was a little uphill. Nothing crazy, just a little uphill. And my legs just went, nope, done. And I thought there was nothing I could do in that moment. It was there. I coached people to it. I talked about it. I knew about it. And so I promise you that's going to happen. And if you are prepared, you're following these tips, you are doing everything possible, you will be able to get through it. The final tip, keep moving after you finish. I know you're not going to want to. I didn't want to. I hated every moment of it. But sitting down immediately after finishing a marathon is one of the worst things you could do. Once you cross the finish line, just keep moving. I know you want to collapse. I know everything hurts, but keep walking. Grab some water, grab some food, grab your medal, whatever freebies they're giving you, get some warm clothes on. Volunteers are going to encourage you to keep moving. If you haven't run some of the majors, you might have to actually walk more than a kilometer or a mile to get out to your people. It's that big of a funnel. So if you sit down or lie down immediately, your muscles are going to seize. You're going to feel way worse when you get up. And so for the next few days, the best thing you can do for recovery is walking, just easy movement, maybe some light spinning on the bike. Keep your joints and muscles active. Refuel as soon as you can. Rehydrate, get some protein, get some carbs in. Enjoy the post-race festivities. Here's 2 bonus points. Number 27. Post-race blues are real. I can promise you. Have a plan. You just achieved your goal. Why do you feel so empty? This is super common. I see it both in my clinical practice and my coaching practice all the time. Nobody really talks about this for the marathon. These post-race blues are so real, especially for first-time marathoners. Your whole life for 12 weeks, has been consumed with this goal. You've sacrificed time, energy, social, sleep, and now it's over. A lot of it is your just routine disappeared, and we are very routine-oriented beings. A lot of runners don't know what to do themselves. They feel lost. This is normal. Acknowledge it. It's part of the recovery that comes with the seasonality that you just pushed for 4 months. You're going to need some time to be down on the other side. Last one, the last 0.2 is where the magic happens. It doesn't seem like much. We always talk about running 26 miles, but that last 0.2 of marathon is where everything you've worked for comes together. Don't miss this moment. Don't forget to look around, check out the crowd. Maybe if you're seeing loved ones, look at them. It will be magical. You will know at that point, I can make it. I have run a marathon. Take a moment and let that sink in. You got out there in probably all kinds of weather in your training. You put in the work. You showed up. You executed. That in itself is incredible, regardless of what the time on the clock says. If you want to make sure you're fully prepared, I've put together a free marathon readiness assessment. The link is in the description. It'll help you identify any gaps that you have as you're getting ready for your marathon, so it will help you crush it on race day. I can't wait to hear your race story. Drop it in the comments. Let me know how it goes. Let me know if you've missed some of these before, and really wish you had seen this before, because I know I've made these mistakes and I'm trying to help athletes not make those mistakes.